sophinda khomba ngophakathi babemfela umona ubuholi kabufundelwa ama-Afrika ubuholi busegazini kuwe Msholozi obahole ekudingiselweni usaka baye bakhothamela nanamhlanje na ama-Afrika onke asakhothamela ukhatshana kaviki ngasihlangu akanjengasothamlilo indaba engizwe ngimncane ngaze ngamdala ngayibona ngamehlo ngiyibona enyakana ka-2005 betho kwaZuma eqala iqala ekutholwa ngosopolitiki ephalamende amanye amacala etholwa zimantshi ezikantolo ugedle ihlekisa abanye bemkhunkula uMazulu azayithole nanamhlanje naziyathakasa izizwe zonke uvula bevalile umgoqo bawuvale phakathi ephalamende bethi kayisophinde ibuse kaMtholosi nanamhlanje niyangena kwaye kwajapha ngishozwe ngephepha isithole esimagqabhagqabha yebo kwesakithi koZuma esibhekwe izizwe zonke zasimoyizelela amakhomanisi asimoyizelela ezekhosathu zonke zisibhekile zasimoyizelela Msholozi ngeke ngikuqede nqamalala
There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. Please be seated.
Speaker, Honorable Speaker and Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, may I please get your attention?
No, Honorable Shibambu, I wouldn't like to give you attention at this point. Could you please take your seat?
I wanted some assurance because we want to know the rules that are constituting this House, if they are all applicable, because you have been
Honorable
having press
Shibambu,
conferences
please take your
that say
seat.
that these are not applicable. Are you going to be able to recognize me
Please
later?
take your seat.
Are you going to recognize me later?
Honorable Shibambu, take your seat.
I will take my seat, but I'm going to come before the president comes so that we get clarity in terms of the rules that are going to be applicable in this House, because we must know what guys this
Honorable
House,
Shibambu,
the other
please
leaders have been
take your
speaking about these
seat.
issues. Then.
Honorable members, the President
But Speaker, can we
has
be
called
recognized,
this
please?
joint sitting
Honorable Speaker,
of the National
on a point
Assembly
of order, Honorable
and the
Speaker.
National Council of Provinces
On a point of order, Honorable
in
Speaker.
terms of Section 84
Honorable Speaker, can you
2D
please recognize
of the
me on a point of order,
Constitution
because
of the
point
Republic
of
of
order
South
is part of
Africa,
the rules, and you can't proceed
read
like
with
that.
Joint Rule
Point of order is not part of the
71A
rules. The rules are very
in
important
order
because
to deliver
they govern
his
this
State
House. All
of
of
the
us
Nation
must be governed
address.
by the rules, Speaker. Because without
This
the rules,
sitting,
we are going to have a problem.
Honorable Malema,
Can
please
I'm
take
rising
your
on a
seat,
point
Honorable
of privilege,
Malema.
Speaker.
Take your seat.
Can I rise on a point of privilege,
No, Honorable
Speaker?
Malema.
Are we not running
Allow
according
me to finish.
Please,
Allow me to finish, Honorable Malema.
I don't want to stand up when the president
Honorable
is there.
Malema, allow me to finish. This sitting is meant specifically for the purpose of affording the President an opportunity to deliver the State of the Nation address. On this occasion, no business other than the address by the President is entertained. We also wish to remind members that the debate on the address will take place on the 16th and 17th February, where members will have an opportunity to fully engage and debate the President's address. On the 18th February, the President will reply to the debate. The above is consistent with the message that the presiding officers conveyed to the whips of all political parties represented here. We trust that all political parties will ensure the smooth and orderly running of proceedings today. Honorable members, I request that points of order and questions of privilege be dealt with in the sittings of next week, unless they have a direct bearing on the current sitting. Honorable members, I now call.
Speaker.
Order.
But you have proposed that we must not use point of order and what here. We're not agreeing to
Honorable
that proposal.
Shibambu.
You can't
Honorable
impose a rule.
Shibambu.
You don't have a power to decree a
We
rule. You're
have
not
the
God.
power
You
of
must
the
allow
chair.
us to decide
We
whether
have
we agree
the
on that
power
rule or
of the
not.
chair.
Allow us to speak.
Honorable
We have proposed
Shibambu.
the rule process here and we're saying no.
Honorable
Allow us to engage on
Shibambu,
that.
we have the power of the chair.
Which rule?
That's the power
Point
that
us
we
the
are
rule.
using.
The rule. Tell us the rule. Which rule? We must be governed by rules here, not by emotions. We must be told which rule gives you such powers to suspend
Malema.
the rule of the joint sitting.
Speaker, my international award-winning speaker of non-violence,
Honorable,
Martin Luther King
Honorable-
recognized.
Honorable,
Please take a
Member,
point of order.
I
You
would
have
like
made
you-
a proposal, Honorable Balekambete. You must put it to the House. You are saying that we must suspend certain rules today under certain conditions.
Honorable Ndlozi.
My international award-winning
Honorable
Speaker
Ndlozi.
of non-violence.
Honorable
Please
Ndlozi.
help us, because you went to a press conference and threatened that you are
Honorable
going to
Ndlozi.
undo the rules of parliament. So we now realize you want to make a proposal.
Honorable
Allow
Ndlozi.
us to engage that proposal,
Today's
please.
sitting is convened to enable the president
Yeah, but I want to
to
respond to your
deliver his
proposal.
State of the Nation address.
No problem. You are the one that introduced the point of
And
proposal.
we have told you that honorable members will have the opportunity next week to engage.
Then you should have
his
proposed that next week. You should have made that proposal next week, not here. So
Honorable
since
member,
you have made it, let's
take
engage
your
the proposal.
take your seat, Honorable Ndlozi.
But Honorable Speaker, we don't always have to go to the Constitutional Court for you to run the business of this House properly. We don't always have to do that. We don't always have to do that. We don't need to do that.
Honorable
you have
members.
demonstrated that you
Honorable
can flout
members.
the rules of this Parliament. You have
Honorable
demonstrated
members.
by allowing illegal commissions to take place in this Parliament.
Honorable
so please,
member, can you
there's,
take
there's
your
never
seat?
a time where a sitting is going to go on in this Parliament and rules suspended. Please guide us. We need to run this House like any
Honorable
other business of
members,
Parliament.
joint
Please, Speaker.
Rule 14G provides that if the presiding officer is of the opinion that a member is deliberately contravening a provision of the rules, or that a member is in contempt of or is disregarding the authority of the chair, or that a member's conduct is grossly disorderly, he or she may order the member to withdraw immediately from the chamber for the remainder of the sitting. And we would now like honorable members to cooperate, because otherwise we are going to have to ask you to withdraw from the chamber.
Honorable Speaker, molao o fetsang go bua ka one a mo ntlong ye ka jeko ra o dirisa na, because o buile ka molomo wa gago mo medieng gore go na le melao e mengwe e o tlo e suspendang. Ke efeng e re tshwantseng re dumalane le wena ka yone, ke efeng e re tshwantseng re ska
I have
dumalana
not
ka yone
recognized
le wena
you,
ka
honorable
yone.
member.
Honorable Speaker, How we so recognizing
Honorable member, I have not recognized you. I have not recognized you. Honorable member, please take your seat.
Speaker, can you recognize me, please?
What are you rising on?
On a point of order, 14C.
What is the point of order?
A point of order is that, Madam Speaker, on the press briefing that you had yesterday, you suspended some
that's
rules.
not a point
we
of
want
order.
some clarity on that one, Speaker. Before
That's
we
not
start.
a point of order, Honorable
But,
member.
Speaker,
and I am now not going to allow any more points of orders.
On a point of order,
Order, Speaker.
I'm rising on 14C, Speaker, because it looks like you are using the same rules we are using. 14C.
What is the point of order?
The point
Honorable
of
Madam?
order, the Honorable Speaker, is that we want an assurance from you. We have no problem that these rules are going to apply today. And if we are going to go with the proposal we have made, then put it to the House. Because you cannot just come and announce that this is what is going to happen in a democratic parliament. So please put that proposal on the table and then let's discuss it. And if they need a right, you can't say because there is a rule here. We work according to the rules, Speaker. Please,
Honorable
let's
Malemba,
debate
take
this
your
matter.
seat.
The honourable member, Mr. Ndozi, is saying that he must put it to the House. I propose that this matter be put to the House whether we go on or not, and let us vote on it.
Honorable members, joint sittings are not for debates or taking of decisions. Joint sittings have one item. These ones, this particular one, has
Speaker,
one item.
respectfully-
And Honorable Ndlozi, take your seat. And
There is a
Honorable
member that is
members,
taking video of
your
us here.
conduct is now not only interfering with the ability of Parliament to conduct the business of today, but you are also disregarding the authority of the chair. If you do not take your seats and cooperate with the chair, we will have no other option but to ask you to leave. And I'm not recognizing you now. I am not allowing you to raise any more points. I now, honorable members.
Madam Speaker.
Order, Chair.
Madam Speaker.
Order, Chair. Chair.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Sorry, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd raised my hand first.
You stood up, I raised my hand.
I didn't see his hand.
Madam
I
Speaker,
saw his hand.
he stood up, I raised my hand. My
Sit,
point,
Honorable Chief Whip.
this is the same rule book that everybody is using on procedure on joint sittings. Rule 13(2). No vote or decision may be taken by or in a joint sitting. I move the same rule that everybody is using. So there is no such a thing, there's no rule applying on us voting or taking decision. The president must just address the House and then we debate next week.
I recognize Honorable Steenhuisen.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have rules of Parliament to govern the sittings of this House. This joint sitting is no exception. And the rules are very important because they ensure that there's a proper free flow of debate in the House and that everybody has a right to have something to say. The point that needs to be made, however, Madam Speaker, is that if you expect us to abide by the rules, then you, Madam Speaker, must abide by the rules yourself. You have no right to unilaterally come to the House today and remove rules from the rule book. If you'd wanted to do that, the opportunity was on the 11th of November last year when the joint rules were reassessed. You did not choose to do that. You have no power, Madam Speaker, to come here and make rules up or remove rules that exist in this rule book. on your own volition. So we want to abide by the rules, Madam Speaker, but you need to abide by the rules as well and set the example.
Honorable Steenhuisen. Honorable Mulder.
Honourable Speaker, I think we can proceed, and I don't think there should be a problem because the rules make provision for what we need to do. Rule 14U makes provision that points of order can be taken, but the point of order needs to deal with procedure. So I would suggest that we cannot just suspend a rule in this fashion. We cannot also take a decision on that. So if somebody should take a point of order in terms of Rule 14U, then you can rule from the chair that it does not deal with procedure and rule it out of order and the proceedings can continue. And that's the way that we should do it. We cannot suspend rules in the run today. Can we?
Speaker, you must withdraw that proposal. Please. Honorable Speaker, you are winning awards now. Just carry on like that. This thing of this type of conduct may compromise your chances of winning more international awards. Please. Now you are going to win a Sankara Award once you withdraw that one. Please.
Can I just remind you what I said a few minutes ago? I said to you what you were raising as so-called points of order had no direct bearing on this sitting. In other words, they were out of order, and that's what I was doing. I was ruling them out of order. And I really now, honorable members,
Madam Speaker,
am not going to allow you to continue disrupting us. And I'm going to ask that you either cooperate or you don't. And in that case, we will have to ask you to withdraw from the chamber.
Honorable Speaker, with due respect, we are not disrupting.
No, you are.
No, we are not.
Honorable Malema, I'm not allowing you anymore now.
When you say to us who must sit down, we sit down.
No, Honorable Malema. You have raised what you said were points of order, and I told you they had no bearing on this sitting. And I'm saying now, you take your seats and we proceed, or if you don't want to cooperate, you leave the chamber.
No, we're cooperating, Honorable Speaker. All we're asking is that these rules of a joint sitting must be reaffirmed by you that these are the rules which are going to govern.
Which is why I ruled your points of order out of order. And I'm saying we now are going to proceed.
Chairperson of the NCOP, you can sit there, intervene.
You will now...
You are co-chairing, it's a joint sitting.
We will now ask you to leave the chamber, Honorable Malema. Because you consistently continue with various points of order, which are not points of order. They have no bearing on this sitting.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
I have not recognized you, Honorable Shibam.
Yeah, I'm asking for recognition. I'm aware I would have spoken if I had been recognized. I'm asking for recognition.
On what point?
On point 14C of the joint rules of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. It says that this House may not be interrupted unless there is a point of order or point of privilege. May I please finish before you interrupt me? And we came to ask here that before we proceed, you had said from the chair there that you are going to unilaterally, alone, declare and decree that the rules have been suspended. And we're saying to you that such is not procedural. All the sittings of the NCOP, of the NA, of joint sittings are governed by rules. So let us use the rules to govern the entire process without suspending any of those. Because if we continue in the manner you have proposed, we're going to make certain interventions and then you will criminalize us. Go call those thugs to come and assault us here, like we did in the previous sitting.
Honorable,
and we don't want such to happen.
Honorable Shibambu, I have been very patient with you and the other members of the EFF. This joint sitting is governed under the rules, joint rules that were adopted in November 2015. And we are going to proceed on that basis. We're not going to allow you any more opportunity to continue disrupting us. And I now, Honorable Malema, prevail on you to give leadership to the EFF sitting in those benches to cooperate with this sitting, because we are going to continue with the joint sitting as convened today for the State of the Nation address.
May we assist
Honorable
you,
Gadi,
may we assist you,
Honorable
Madam
Gadi,
Speaker?
Honorable Gadi, I am not recognizing you.
Only if you can just
I
listen
am not
a little bit,
recognizing.
you
I'm
will
not
be
going to
able
listen.
to
I am
proceed.
not wanting to listen. And I'm not going to allow you to disrupt anymore. I am not going to allow you to disrupt anymore.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, take
Madam
your seats.
Speaker.
Members of the EFF, make up your minds whether you want to stay in the chamber
No,
or
we
you
want
want
to
to
stay
withdraw.
here. But
No,
hear us
but
out.
you want to disrupt,
No,
and I'm
you
not
are
going to have
threatening
that.
us. You are threatening us. You can't say we are disruptors. We are honorable members of the House.
Take your seat.
We are not disruptors.
What you are
can't
doing
threaten
is
us.
not honorable.
You allow DA members to speak. You allow Utata IFP to speak. You allow EFF Plus to speak. But when it comes to us, we must not speak.
Take
Who
your
are
seat.
we?
Madam Speaker.
We belong to this house. Mama, please, ndiyacela, please.
Niyasilibazisa. That's what you are doing.
Silibazisi, Mama. Susthreatening, please.
Niyasilibazisa. Honorable Maimane.
Madam Speaker, I can't see where this thing is going. In fact, I think all of us agree that the EFF have accepted that we are going to operate on the joint rules. We cannot delay this thing. South Africans are waiting for their answers to be put forward. Can I ask that we proceed and get the State of the Nation on the go, please?
Your point of intervention is sustained, Honorable Maimane, and I now call on the Honorable, the President, to address the joint sitting.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces,
Madam Speaker.
Deputy Speaker of
Madam, on a point of order,
and
Madam Speaker.
Deputy Chairperson
On a point of order,
of the
Madam
NCOP,
Speaker.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, former President Thabo Mbeki,
Madam Speaker, on a point of order.
Chief Justice Mogoeng.
I have already said that I will not take any further points of order.
Madam Speaker, may I rise on a point of order?
No, Honorable Likota. I appeal to you to take your seat, to allow the President to proceed to deliver the State of the Nation address.
Madam Speaker,
I prevail on you, Honorable Likota, to take your seat.
Madam Speaker, I'm rising
Honorable Likota.
Precisely on that point. Please, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Likota, I appeal to you to take your seat.
Madam Speaker, may I rise on a point of order? You can't rule me out of order before you hear.
Honorable Likota, on the basis of what I have already explained, I am prevailing on you to take your seat and allow the State of the Nation address to be delivered.
Madam Speaker, there is a point of order in these proceedings. May I please state my point of order? May I simply,
Honorable Likota, please take your
my
seat.
point of order? You may rule against it, but I want to state it. I want to state it, and you can rule against it.
Honorable President, please take your seat. President.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable President has already admitted before our nation in the Constitutional Court that he broke his oath of office. No, I must say this. He broke his oath of office. He broke his oath of office. He is no longer honorable. He is not
Honorable Likota.
a state.
Honorable Likota. No, Honorable Likota, that's not a point of order.
We cannot listen to somebody who's broken his oath
is
of
not
office.
a point of order, Honorable
Sit here and
Likota.
listen to him. He is no longer fit to lead our people.
Honorable Likota, will you leave
On
the
a point
chamber?
of order.
Excuse me?
Will you leave? Will you leave the chamber?
If you are saying,
because that is not a point of order.
That's a point of order.
It's
He's
not.
broken his oath of office.
That is not a point of order. It has nothing to do with the proceedings of this sitting.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We will not listen to somebody.
So you
who has
are
broken
free
his
to
oath
leave
of
the
office.
chamber.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We cannot listen to somebody.
Honorable Likota.
Ni kombela ku vulavula nyana.
We note that all the members of COPE have left the House, and we now ask the Honorable, the President, to proceed with the State of the Nation address.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And all esteemed members of the judiciary. The President of the Pan-African Parliament, Mr. Roger Kodo Dang, ministers and deputy ministers, premiers and speakers of provincial legislatures, chairperson of Salga, and all executive mayors present, the heads of Chapter 9 institutions, chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders, leaders of faith-based organizations, the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Freni Chinwala, invited guests, veterans of the struggle for liberation, members of the diplomatic corps, fellow South Africans, good evening, Sanbonani, Molweni, Dumelang, Huenand, Loshani, Riperire, Dimatekwan. Thank you for the opportunity to address Parliament and the nation. Today marks the 26th anniversary of the release of President Nelson Mandela from prison. which was one of the most remarkable episodes in the history of our country. It is also the 50th anniversary of the declaration by the National Party regime that District 6 would be a white-only area, leading to the forced removals of more than 60,000 residents. The year 2016 also marks the 20th anniversary of the signing into law by President Madiba of the Constitution of the Republic. The signing took place in Sharpeville on the 10th December 1996. We are proud of our democracy and what we have achieved in a short space of time. Our democracy is functional, solid, and stable. Compatriots, the Constitution, which has its foundation in the Freedom Charter, proclaims that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. A lot has been done to promote inclusion and a non-racial society. However, the journey to a non-racial society has not yet been completed. The nation was shaken last month when racism reared its ugly head on social and electronic media, causing untold pain and anger. There is a need to confront the demon of racism. Human Rights Day, March 21st, will be commemorated as the National Day Against Racism this year. It will be used to lay the foundation for a long-term program of building a non-racial society. Compatriots,
Madam Speaker,
I would like
in terms
to
of
remind you of a
may
few
I raise a question of privilege?
Important anniversary.
The President has spoken, and the matter I need to raise is materially relevant to what the President has spoken about.
March to the Union
Madam
buildings.
Speaker.
Sorry, Honorable President.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable President.
Madam Speaker, can the President sit down so that I raise the point of privilege?
Honorable President, please take your seat.
Thank you.
Honorable President,
sit down,
please take
Mr.
your seat.
Zupta.
Honorable Gadi.
The issue that is material relevant and it's a question of privilege is...
On what point are you rising?
14C, a question of privilege, a matter materially relevant to the paragraphs that the President has already read. The question here, Madam Speaker, is, in 4 days we had 3 ministers' unprecedented reaction of the market that actually cost the country 500 billion rand. 4 paragraphs has been read and the President has not said anything. Can you assure us that is going to raise the matter?
Honorable Gadi, you said you were rising on a point of privilege.
Very, very
You
material.
also said it is relevant to what the President
Very,
had
very
just read.
relevant. 500 billion rand gone, Madam Chairperson.
Honorable Gadi.
I'm listening, Madam Chair.
I have not heard the relevance to the current debate on the point of privilege that you are quoting.
Maybe I should repeat, Madam Chair, so that you can hear well. The President has read almost 2 pages, has not said anything about the loss of 500 billion rand having 3 ministers in
Honorable Gadi.
in 4 days.
Honorable Gadi.
Unprecedentedly.
Honorable Gadi, you have
weak.
not raised a point of privilege. Please take your seat.
Okay.
Thank you. Honorable President, please proceed.
The nation was shaken last month when racism reared its ugly head on social and electronic media, causing untold pain and anger. There is a need to confront the demon of racism. Human Rights Day, March 21st, will be commemorated as the National Day Against Racism this year. It will be used to lay the foundation for a long-term program of building a non-racial society. Compatriots, I would like to remind you of a few other important anniversaries. The year 2016 marks 60 years since the Women's March to the Union buildings to demand an end to the past laws. We are happy to have in our midst
Honorable
Ms.
Speaker.
Sophie De Bruyn,
Honorable Speaker.
who was among the heroic leaders
Honorable Speaker.
of that historic march.
Honorable Speaker.
We also acknowledge the former president of the Black Sash, Ms.
Point of order,
Mary
Honorable Speaker.
Burton.
Honorable Speaker.
We acknowledge the organization's
Honorable
track
Speaker.
record in fighting
Honorable
for human
Speaker.
rights, justice, and
Honorable
equality.
Speaker. Honorable
This
Speaker.
year also
Honorable Speaker.
marks 40 years
Honorable
since the
Speaker.
landmark June 16 student
Honorable
uprising
Speaker.
in Soweto.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
We welcome
Honorable Speaker.
photographer who shot the famous
Honorable Speaker.
photograph of Hector Peterson,
Chair of NCOP. Chair of NCOP. Chair of NCOP.
carried by
Honorable
Buisa
Speaker.
Makubu with his sister,
Honorable Speaker.
Toenet, Mr. Sam Zuma.
Chito. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
We also salute the class of 1976 for their bravery.
Honorable Motisa. Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
In standing up
Point of order, Honorable
against the
Speaker.
brutal apartheid regime.
Point of order, Honorable
We
Speaker.
acknowledge one of the activists
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
that era, the Deputy Secretary.
Point of order,
Honorable
Speaker.
President, I regret to have to ask you again to take the seat so we can perhaps make progress in dealing with this point of order. What is the point of order, Honorable Mbata?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Bengicela ukubuza umbuzo, Mongameli.
Cha.
Ungawuthatha umbuzo?
No, cha Mbata.
Kwenziwa yini Mongameli?
No,
ukuthi
Honorable Mbata, this
ngey'nsuku
is not
ezine
a time for questions.
usinikeza ama-minister amaningi
Honorable
kangaka.
Mbata, Honorable Mbata,
Bengicela
this is
ukubuza.
not an opportunity for
Bengicela
questions.
ukubuza nami kodwa.
Cha, awuvumelekanga ukuthi ubuze, Honorable Mbata. You are not allowed to ask questions on this occasion. And really, honorable members, I think I have to now clarify for the understanding of all that a point of order or question of privilege is only allowed if it calls attention to a transgression of a joint rule or an accepted parliamentary practice or a privilege. Freedom of speech is one of the privileges that members enjoy in the exercise of their constitutional obligation to represent their constituencies. This privilege is subject to the rules and orders. Honorable members, privileges are provided for in the Constitution and powers, privileges and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. Spurious points of order are an abuse of the rules and privilege of freedom of speech. Improperly interfering with or impeding the exercise or performance by Parliament of its authority or function constitutes a breach of privilege. Other breaches include improper interference with the performance by a member of his or her functions as a member, or threatening or obstructing a member proceeding to or going from a meeting of Parliament or a House committee. I read this into the record so that we are all having the same understanding of what a point of order or privilege is about. It's about these proceedings. And honorable members, on those grounds, I am really prevailing on all of us to allow the State of the Nation address to be delivered.
Speaker, may I please address you?
No.
Why?
I have explained why.
Okay, I'm raising on a point of order, hey?
No, Honorable Josie.
I don't want to interrupt.
Honorable Josie, we have spent a lot of minutes with the EFF interrupting and being disruptive.
On a point of order. On a point of order.
You are being disruptive.
No, on a point of order.
Members
Speaker.
of the EFF.
Please don't address us as a group, address us as individuals. You can't say you have been dealing with the EFF.
I
We're
have.
speaking here, no.
Everybody has been seeing it.
As members of this parliament, and you shall address us as individuals and not an assault on our party.
Honorable Malema,
yes, like that.
You are
please.
not, Honorable Malema, you are not coming here to lecture us about how to run the proceedings of this sitting. I am asking that you cooperate or make up your mind that you want to withdraw.
We're not withdrawing, Speaker, and you're not going to tell us how we must participate here. We're elected to come here and represent our constituency.
But you are also not going to come and be disruptive to the proceedings of the House.
We're standing up procedurally and we're
Honorable Malema.
You may not agree with us, but we are rising on a point of privilege and
Honorable
orders.
Malema, I really have to prevail on you to leave the chamber. Because you are not interested in these proceedings.
No, Speaker, you never asked me to sit down and I defied you. I'm cooperating.
But what you are doing is you are continuously interrupting the proceedings.
I put up on a point of order that don't call us as a group. So
Honorable
I'm
Malema,
cooperating with you. I'm sitting
I'm
down.
calling on you to play your leadership role.
Please.
I'm calling on you to play your leadership role. As I had requested all political parties to make sure that we can have a smooth State of the Nation proceedings. Honorable Pando.
Speaker, would you please, Speaker, allow the business for which this sitting has been called to continue. We are here to receive the State of the Nation address, which we are very ready to debate next Tuesday and Wednesday. So could you allow the business of the House, which is called in terms of the joint rules and the Constitution, for the President to present the State of the Nation address? And would you, Speaker, please assist us by not having extended dialogues with members of the House and allow us to continue?
Honorable Chairperson of the NCOP.
Honorable Shivambo, you have not been recognized.
I'm asking for recognition. I'm asking for recognition. Like you recognized Honorable Pando.
What? On what point are you rising?
I'm rising on a point of order.
Yes, sir. Which point of order?
When the Speaker is dealing with members of the EFF, someone has switched off my microphone. Someone has switched off my microphone. Can it go on, please? The rules, it's not on yet. The rules of this House. Can you please switch it on, please? Switch on my microphone, please. The chair of the NCOP had recognized me. The chair of the NCOP had recognized me. Can I continue?
On what point of order? That was...
The principal issue which we are raising is that there is no rule that says that you can deal with a political party as the whole caucus. To say that EFF members are doing this and that.
Honorable
I've got lots of members of parliament here who have not said anything. Honorable Damin has not said anything today. Honorable Chawan has not said anything. You can't say that all of you are a problem. If you want to leave, you must leave. That is not how this House is run. If you have got a problem with the
Honorable Shibambo, I have heard you.
Point to the rule
that is not a point of order. Because that point was made by the Honorable Malema. Please take your seat.
But is my point noted, Chair?
That is not a point of order. Please take your seat.
I don't know what is...
Honorable members.
Chair.
Honorable members.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable members. It might be nice to spend time doing what we are doing. I do not think we are earning South Africa any credit doing what we are doing. The rules are very clear. On the 20th of November 2015, joint rules adopted the rules which govern the proceedings of today. Can we please respect those rules and allow the business of this sitting to continue?
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Ndlozi.
May I please address you like other members do?
Please take your seat.
May I please address you, Chair?
Please take your seat.
Honorable Chairperson, I'm pleading
Honorable
with your
Ndlozi,
conscience.
I am pleading with you to take your seat.
Honorable Chair, this is a problem.
Honorable Ndlozi, thank you.
On the point of order, Chair.
There is no point.
Wait. Let me speak.
Honorable...
Why do you allow ANC people to speak and when it comes to us, you don't allow us to speak? What is wrong, man?
Honorable member, you will excuse me, I do not know your name.
Wait.
But you are not going to address the chair in that way.
You don't have to know my name, that's not a problem. Why do you allow ANC people to speak and when it comes to us, we're not allowed to speak here? All of us, we must account to this House and to this nation.
Honorable Dlamini, you were not recognized and you were not given the floor. Please take your seat.
Mama,
Ma'am, I am not going to give you the seat.
No,
We started this sitting going round and round in circles.
Ngicela undivumele.
No.
Ubavumela abanye abantu.
Honorable members, rising
Sisebenza
on
njani kanti
spurious
ezweni?
points of orders is not going to help this out.
Uba ubusivumela sithethe ngesesigqibile ngoku.
Please take your seat, ma'am.
Mama, please ndiyacela.
I am asking you to take your seat.
On a point of order, Chairperson of NCOP. Point of order, NCOP. Chairperson of the NCOP. Ke kopa tshireletso kgatlhanong le Premier ya Northern Cape because one tshosetsa o nka ka monona ke titla ya ka go bua mo ntlong e ntle le go tshosediwa ke ema ka point of order. She's here. On a point of order, Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, ke kopa o re letlelele jaaka maloko a EFF go bua mo ntlong e o se ka wa dira fela ka maloko a ANC because sewa ga se mo molaong wa ntlo e and o itse sentle kgatelelo a e fedisiwe mme.
Honorable Makos, the points you have made are not points of order. Honorable Makos, please take your seat.
Sagela lapho somlomo. Sagela. Chairperson, bengicela Nkosi yami azile uzodlala. Akani silaleleni.
Kaula, please take your seat.
Okokuqala nje lo mangameli akakaxolisi ngento ayenzile yezimali
Honorable Kaula, you are ordered to take your seat.
Angikuzwa ukuthi thina ngikhuluma isiZulu.
Honorable Kaula,
yebo,
you are ordered to take your seat.
Angizwa ukuthi uthini.
Honorable Kaula, if you do not take your seat, I have no alternative but to ask you to leave this house.
Angikuzwa ukuthi uthini. Ngimna ngumZulu siweKZN. Mina ngavota lo 94 votelile ukuthi sikhuluma ama language ethu. Ngicela ungikhulumele ngesiZulu asixabene.
Honorable Kaula, ngicela uhlala phansi.
Ngiyezwa ke kodwa awuthathela umangameli esimbuzo wethu lo mangameli
phansi.
Ngiyabonga.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, please allow me to greet you with Assalamu alaikum. I want to indicate that we have a difficulty here because you cannot ask a person to sit before the person has expressed himself. According to your interpretation of the rules, you have indicated very clearly that you will rule whether it is a point of privilege or a point of order. You are only going to know that after you have listened to the honourable member. And this is the dilemma that you are being faced with, and you are making it very difficult for us to continue the business of the day by not allowing people to stand on points of order and to make themselves very clear. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Honorable Fowler, you are doing very well. Take your seat. Honorable members, we will not allow any points of orders. We will not allow any points of orders because all the points of orders that you have put on this house today have nothing to do with the proceedings or the content of this house.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Mukwili, I am speaking and you cannot address me when I'm speaking.
I'm requesting you to recognize me, Chair.
I am speaking.
But I'm requesting your recognition. It's according to the rules
Honorable
of
Mukwili,
this house.
please take
You must
your seat.
recognize me, then I will sit down. Do you
Please
recognize me?
Please take your seat. Honorable members, Honorable Maiman.
We can tonight discuss the job of one man
who is Minister Nene last year, or we can discuss the jobs of 8.3 million. That's the decision we've got to make. Can I request, Madam Speaker, we've heard the points, you can rule on those, but can we proceed? Because I think 8.3 million South Africans deserve to know what happened to their jobs. Can I request that we proceed on that basis, please?
Honorable members. Honorable members.
Chairperson of NSOP.
No, I have not recognized you.
Can you recognize me?
No.
But Chair, why are you treating us differently to other political parties? Musi Maimane, Honorable Musi, stood up, and then you just give me a go ahead. Why? We are equal in this house.
Honorable Shope, please take your seat.
Can you recognize me, Honorable Chair? Then I'll take
Honorable
my seat.
Shope, Honorable Dlamini, Honorable Mente, Honorable Makos, Honorable Kaula, Honorable Mukwili, Honorable Vauda, please leave this house.
You are out of order, Metandi, you are out of order. You are out of order because you cannot expel people for speaking in this house. We are not going to allow that. We are not going to allow that. This is so undemocratic. These people, no, national chairperson, they listened to you and they went to sit down. Now you just call them from Norway. It's incorrect. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Honorable Malema,
you are
you
prepared.
were not recognized.
You are prepared
You
to
will also
remove
join
the whole
list that I have
party
asked
which
to
has been
vacate the
elected by
chamber.
the people in defense of one man. There's nothing that
Honorable
Zuma deserves
Malema,
from
you will
us
join
in a
the
form
group
of a
that must leave
respect.
this chamber.
Zuma is no longer a president that deserves a respect from anyone. He has stolen from us. He has collapsed the economy of South Africa. He has made this country a joke. And after that, he has laughed at us. We cannot allow Zuma to do as he wishes in this country. We are not going to allow that. We are doing what we are doing because we do not recognize him as our president. He is not our president. Please. Zupta must fall. 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 Zupta must fall.
I do take note that the whole of the EFF as a party are chanting in the house and are disrupting this house.
Zupta must fall. 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 Zupta must fall.
When we come back next day, you will not be a president.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me proceed where I was. We also salute the class of 1976 for their bravery in standing up against the brutal apartheid regime. We acknowledge one of the activists of that era, the Deputy Secretary of Parliament, Ms. Baby Chawa, who is in our midst. This year, we also mark 30 years since the ambush and brutal killing of the Guguletu 7 by the apartheid police in March 1986. The University of Fort Hare celebrates its centenary, which is a critical milestone in the liberation history of not only our country, but the continent. The national celebrations will take place on the 20th of May. Let me, in that context, recognize Umtwana Ogapindangene, the leader of the IFP, who is a former student of the university. The year 2016 also marks the centenary of the Battle of Devil Woods in France, which took place during the First World War. Scores of soldiers died there, including black soldiers who fought in the war and were treated badly due to the color of their skins, including separate burials and in separate places. A memorial that will restore their dignity and humanity is scheduled to be unveiled in July this year in France. Compatriots, allow me as well to recognize three special guests who are also with us today. The chairperson of the National Church Leaders Forum and Archbishop of Cape Town, Archbishop Thabo Makgoba. Archbishop Daniel Matebesi, the president of the National Interfaith Council of South Africa. And Bishop Sipho Siwa, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa and the president of the South African Council of Churches. Madam Speaker and Madam Chairperson, a resilient and fast-growing economy is at the heart of our radical economic transformation agenda and our national development plan. When the economy grows fast, it delivers jobs, workers earn wages, and businesses make profits. The tax base expands and allows government to increase the social wage and provide education, health, social grants, housing, and free basic services faster and in a more sustainable manner. Our economy has been facing difficulties since the financial crisis in 2008. We embarked on an aggressive infrastructure development program to stimulate growth. Our reality right now is that global growth still remains muted. Financial markets have become volatile. Currencies of emerging markets have become weak and they fluctuate widely. The prices of gold, platinum, coal, and other minerals that we sell to the rest of the world have dropped significantly and continue to be low. The economies of two of our partners in BRICS, Brazil and Russia, are expected to contract this year. The third, China, will not register the kind of robust growth that it is known for. Because our economy is relatively small and open, it is affected by all of these developments. Our economy is also affected by domestic factors such as the electricity constraints and industrial relations, which are sometimes unstable. The IMF and the World Bank predict that the South African economy will grow by less than 1% this year. The lower economic growth outcomes and outlook suggest that revenue collection will be lower than previously expected. Importantly, our country seems to be at risk of losing its investment grade status from ratings agencies. If that happens, it will become more expensive for us to borrow money from abroad to finance our programs of building better life for all, especially the poor. The situation requires an effective turnaround plan from us. It is about doing things differently and also acting on what may not have been acted upon quickly before. I will share a few points that we believe would make a difference. First, our country remains an attractive investment destination. It may face challenges, but its positive attributes far outweigh those challenges. We must continue to market the country as a preferred destination for investment. This requires a common narrative from all of us as business, labor, and government. If there are any disagreements or problems between us, we should solve them before they escalate. This is necessary for the common good of our country. We have heard fruitful meetings with business, including the high-level meeting with CEOs on Tuesday this week. We have heard the suggestions from business community on how we can turn the situation around and put the economy back on a growth path. We have heard the points about the need to create the correct investment support infrastructure. Government is developing a one-stop shop Invest South Africa initiative to signal that South Africa is truly open for business. We will fast-track the implementation of this service in partnership with the private sector. Such an initiative requires that government removes the red tape and reviews any legislative and regulatory blockages. We have established an interministerial committee on investment promotion, which will ensure the success of investment promotion initiatives. Compatriots, we have heard the concerns raised about the performance of state-owned enterprises and companies. Many of our SOEs are performing well. Sandral has built some of the best roads in Gauteng. And in many parts of the country. These make us the envy of many parts around the globe. The Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority has constructed dams of varied capabilities and capacities, thus making it possible for our people to have access to safe drinking water. Transnet has built rail infrastructure which has enabled our country's mines to move massive bulk of commodities through our ports to markets around the globe. Eskom, in spite of the challenges, still manages to keep the economy going against all odds. Our development finance institutions such as the Industrial Development Corporation or Development Bank of Southern Africa and others have provided finance for infrastructure, various industries and agricultural businesses without fail, even in the aftermath of the global financial crisis. For the state-owned companies to contribute to the successful implementation of the National Development Plan, they must be financially sound. They must be properly governed and managed. We will ensure the implementation of the recommendations of the Presidential Review Commission of State-Owned Enterprises, which outlines how the institutions should be managed. The Deputy President chairs the Interministerial Committee, which is tasked with ensuring the implementation of these recommendations. We have to streamline and sharpen the mandates of the companies and ensure that where there are overlaps in the mandates, there is immediate rationalization. Those companies that are no longer relevant to our development agenda will be phased out. Government developments to which they report will set the agenda and identify key projects for the state-owned companies to implement over a defined period. Proper monitoring and evaluation will be done. These interventions are essential for growth and also for the reduction of national debt levels. Compatriots, we must take advantage of the exchange rate as well as the recent changes of visa regulations to boost inbound tourism. South Africa's tourism will invest 100 million rand a year to promote domestic tourism, encouraging South Africans to tour their country. We have heard concerns from companies about delays in obtaining visas for skilled personnel from abroad, while we prefer that employers prioritize local workers. Our migration policy must also make it possible to import scarce skills. The draft migration policy will be presented to Cabinet during the course of 2016. We've heard the appeals for policy certainty in the mining sector, especially with regards to the Minerals and Petroleum Resources Development Bill. The bill was referred back to Parliament last year. We await Parliament to conclude the processing, which we trust will be done expeditiously. Compatriots, we need to empower SMMEs to accelerate their growth. Access to high-quality, innovative business support can dramatically improve the success rate of new ventures. The Department of Small Business Development was established to provide such targeted support to small business. Economic transformation and black empowerment remain a key part of all economic programs of government. One of our new interventions is the Black Industrialist Scheme, which has been launched to promote the participation of black entrepreneurs in manufacturing. We urge big business to partner with the new manufacturers including businesses owned by women and the youth, as part of broadening the ownership and control of the economy. Compatriots, we are proud of our top 10 ranking in the World Economic Forum Competitiveness Report with respect to financial services. Maintaining and indeed improving our ranking is important to our competitiveness as a country. It is also fundamental to our ambition to become a financial center for Africa. The banks, through the Banking Association of South Africa, are to launch a project aimed at establishing a center of excellence for financial services and leadership training. This will ensure that as a country, we can attract, nurture, develop and retain the best talent in financial services in our country and across our continent. They will work with the Minister of Finance and the National Treasury to get this one. We believe that this will, over time, ensure that we can expand the pool of financial skills and broaden the job opportunities for many young people. This strategic project from the banking sector is a positive and encouraging outcome of our engagement with business this week. Together, we move South Africa forward. Mase kudibhedwa bobe ngazi bekuthiwani laba baba ngumsindo. Bobheda babheke lena. Compatriots, we have made an undertaking to spend public funds wisely and to cut wasteful expenditure. But without compromising on the core business of government and the provision of services to our people. In 2013, the Minister of Finance announced a number of cost containment measures. Excessive and wasteful expenditure has been reduced, but there is still more to be done to cut wastage. I would like to announce some measures this evening. Overseas trips will be curtailed, and those requesting permission will have to motivate strongly and provide the benefit of the country. The sizes of delegations will be greatly reduced and standardized. Further restrictions on conferences, catering, entertainment, and social functions will be instituted. And the budget vote dinners for stakeholders hosted by government departments in Parliament after the delivery of the budget speeches will no longer take place. The Minister of Finance will announce more measures and further details in the budget vote speech on the 24th of February.
Order, members. Don't drown the speaker on the podium.
They've been just saying the people are listening in the country. And let the people listen. Bazwa kahle bandla. The executive management and boards of public agencies and state-owned companies must undertake similar measures. I also invite premiers of all 9 provinces, as well as mayors, to join us as we begin eliminating wasteful expenditures within government. I trust that Parliament and the judiciary will also be persuaded to consider the implementation of similar measures. Compatriots, a big expenditure item that we would like to persuade Parliament to consider is the maintenance of 2 capitals. Pretoria as the administrative one and Cape Town as the legislative capital. We believe that the matter requires the attention of Parliament soon. The executive has looked into this matter, and the cost is too big to be maintained, because it means, particularly with the executive, we must have 2 houses, one in Pretoria, one in Cape Town. Must have 2 cars, one in Pretoria, one in Cape Town. You must have a number of officials traveling up and down, and because they've got no infrastructure, using the hotels. This is a matter to be considered on an urgent basis if we are to save costs. Compatriots, we all have a lot to do to turn the economy around and to cut wastage. We will go through a difficult period for a while, but when the economy recovers, we will be proud of ourselves for having done the right things. Compatriots, I would now like to report back on the undertakings made last year. During the State of the Nation address in February 2015, progress has been made in these sectors. The incentives for the automotive sector have attracted investments of over 25 billion rand over the last 5 years. We welcome key investments from Mercedes, General Motors, Ford, Beijing Auto Works, the Meta Group, BMW, Goodyear, and VW. The clothing and textile sector has also been successfully established after a difficult few years. Multinational companies such as Nestle, Unilever, Samsung, and Hensese have also affirmed South Africa as a regional infrastructure hub. They have retained and expanded their investments in new plants. Indeed, the progress made in manufacturing has certainly demonstrated that the incentive programs are effective and attractive to investors. Compatriots, I announced programs for the revitalization of agriculture last year. We introduced the Agri-Parks program aimed at increasing the participation of smallholder farmers in agricultural activities. Construction has begun in at least 5 spring parks, which are Westland in Gauteng, Springbok Pan in Northwest, Wisberg in Western Cape, Ngocha in the Eastern Cape, and Inkangala in Mpumalanga. The agricultural program must empower women farmers as well. Allow me to introduce the winner of the Female Entrepreneur of the Year 2015, Miss Julia Shungube from Komazi municipality in Mpumalanga. She has succeeded, having come from the security sector. She has been working as a security. And in the process of her working as a security, started farming. And that activity led her to become the best young farmer in South Africa. Well done. Honorable Speaker and Honorable Chair, land reform remains an important factor as we pursue transformation. Framework last year, which proposes relative rights for people who live and work on farms. 27 proposals have been received from commercial farmers, and 4 are being implemented in the Eastern Cape and the Free State. I also announced the regulation of land holdings bill, which should place a ceiling on land ownership at a maximum of 12,000 hectares and would prohibit foreign nationals from owning land. they would be eligible for long-term leases. The draft bill will be presented to Cabinet in the first semester of the year. We also announced the reopening of land claims for people who had missed the 1998 deadline. The number of new land claims that have been lodged stood at close to 120,000 as of December last year. Compatriots, as we are aware, 5 provinces have been seriously affected by the drought, namely Northwest, KwaZulu-Natal, Free State, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga. 30 million cubic meters of water per annum. The raising of the Clan William Dam wall in the Western Cape entails raising the existing dam level by 13 meters to provide additional water supply. To curb water wastage, the Department of Water and Sanitation has begun its program of training 15,000 young people as artisans. Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, on improving labor relations, we welcome the agreement reached by social partners at NEDLAC on the principle of a national minimum wage. Deliberations continue on the level at which the minimum wage must be placed. It is important to emphasize that the national minimum wage should be implemented in a manner that does not undermine employment creation, the thriving of small businesses, or sustained economic growth. We are also encouraged by reports from NEDLAC that a framework to stabilize the labor market by reducing the length of strikes and eliminating violence during strike action is being finalized. We have heard the concerns of Labor and Tax Amendment Act that I signed into law in December, following its passing by Parliament. Government is in discussion with COSATU about the matter, and a solution is being sought. Discussions are also ongoing within government, led by the Department of Social Development and National Treasury, with regards to finalizing the comprehensive social security policy. Compatriots, only a few years ago, our mining sector was in turmoil, especially on the Platinum Belt. The situation has improved, and we commend business and labor for the progress made. Another positive development in the mining sector was the leaders' declaration to save jobs, which was signed by mining industry stakeholders in August 2015. we urge the parties to implement the agreement and to continue seeking ways of saving jobs. We appeal to business again that retrenchments should not be the first resort when they face difficulties. Compatriots, in 2014, we launched the popular Operation Pakisa Big Fast Results methodology and implemented it in the ocean economy, health, education, and mining sector. 7 billion rand has been committed in new port facilities following the adoption of a public-private partnership model for port infrastructure development by Transnet National Ports Authority. Compatriots, we were concerned that South Africa did not own vessels while we are surrounded by about 3,000 kilometers of a coastline. Through the oceans economy segment of Operation Pakisa, we are trying to solve this challenge. I'm pleased that 2 bulk carrier vessels have been registered in Port Elizabeth and a 3rd tanker in Cape Town under the South African flag. Cheers. Another positive Operation Pakisa development has been launched of the fuel storage facility here in Cape Town, bringing an investment of 660 million rand. Agriculture appears to be an important growth area within the oceans economy segment of Operation Pakisa. Close to 350,000 rand private sector investment has thus far been committed in the agricultural sector. 9 aquaculture farms are already in production. These farms are located within the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, and Northern Cape. We continue to promote innovation within the 9-point plan program. The Department of Science and Technology will finalize the Sovereign Innovation Fund, a public-private funding partnership aimed at commercializing innovations that are from ideas from the public and the private sector. Government will fast-track the implementation of the first phase of broadband rollout to connect more than 5,000 government facilities in 8 district municipalities over a 3-year period. Funding to the tune of 740 million rand over a 3-year period has been allocated in this regard. Compatriots, a lot of work was done in the social sector as well in the past year. government has responded to the financial shortfall arising from the 0% university fee increase, as agreed in meeting with students and vice-chancellors last year. The Minister of Finance will provide the details of education shortfall funding in the budget speech. I have appointed a judicial commission of inquiry into higher education. We urge all stakeholders to cooperate with the commission and help ensure its success. On the health front, the life expectancy of South Africans for both males and females has significantly improved and is currently 62 years across genders. Which is an increase of 8.5 years since 2005. The HIV policy turnaround in 2009 led to a massive rollout of HIV testing and treatment for 3.2 million people living with the virus. This has contributed immensely to healthier and longer lives for those infected. We acknowledge the contribution of partners in the South African National AIDS Council, which is chaired by the Deputy President. Our next step is to revive prevention campaigns, especially amongst the youth. The Minister of Health will soon announce a major campaign in this regard. I am also happy to announce that the state-owned pharmaceutical company Kehlapile has been established. Kehlapela. Kehlape. Pila. Ke yona eo. The company will participate in the supply of antiretroviral drug to the Department of Health from the 2016 to 2017 financial year. Meanwhile, the white paper on the national health insurance was released in December, aimed at improving health care for everyone in South Africa. Compatriots, local government elections will be held within 3 months after the 18th of May, the date of the last elections. We urge all citizens who are over the age of 18 to register to vote during the first registration weekend, 5 and 6 March 2016. We urge the youth, in particular who are turning 18 years of age this year, to register in their numbers for this first ever opportunity to cast their votes. Our Back to Basics local government revitalization plan was launched in September 2014, and 2015 has been the year of intensive implementation of this program. In this second phase of implementation, national government will engage in more active monitoring and accountability measures. This includes announced municipality visits, spot checks of supply chain management processes, the implementation of recommendations of a forensic report, site visits of municipal infrastructure grant-funded projects, and increased interventions to assist struggling municipalities. A 10-point plan of back to basics priority actions has been developed to guide this next phase. The plan includes the promotion of community engagement, which is absolutely critical to enable communities to provide feedback on their experience of local government. I already undertook a walkabout at Marabastad taxi and bus rank in Pretoria on Monday to speak to informal traders and commuters. The majority of complaints and issues raised related to municipal services. They would like the Tshwane municipality to clean the area and also to fix some broken sewage pipes. Traders said they needed and were prepared to pay. They alerted me that many people in Elandspoort receive RDP houses, but instead of occupying them, they either sell them or rent them out to other people. And they ask government to intervene. Mrs. Baloy, who runs a small business, complained about Nyahupe drug addicts who steal goods from traders. Other commuters said, I must visit Kwaggafontein in the former Kwandebele and see the lack of service delivery. I will visit the area soon. I was also able to speak to foreign nationals who said they queue daily to apply for documentation from the Department of Home Affairs. We will continue to visit communities to hear their concerns and suggestions. Issues raised during the visit will be followed up by the respective departments. In this instance, the head of the office at Marabastad of Home Affairs responded to all issues raised by the foreigners. It was clear that some of them did not understand the procedures, but of course, we also said there must be a communication between the office there to the people who are outside. And I've already spoken to the Minister of Home Affairs about making it a point that those people where they stand, we prepare a place better. Compatriots, the South African Police Service is undergoing a turnaround and has adopted the back-to-basics approach to management to rebuild the organization and to improve performance at all underperforming police stations. We note, sadly, as well that 57 police officers have been murdered to date during the 2015 to 2016 financial year. We condemn this criminality strongly. We urge the police to defend themselves when attacked within the confines of the law. Compatriots, the African continent remains central to our foreign policy engagements. South Africa continued to support peace and security and regional economic integration through participation in the African Union and the Southern African Development Community initiatives. We continued to assist sister countries in resolving their issues, for an example, in the Lesotho and South Sudan. The South African National Defence Force represented the country bravely and remarkably well in peacekeeping missions on the continent. We are truly proud of our soldiers. They will be showcasing their capability in Port Elizabeth from the 13th to the 21st of February, the celebration of Armed Forces Day. The agreement by BRICS nations of the New Development Bank, or BRICS Bank, came into force, and the bank is envisaged to approve its inaugural projects in April this year. We participated in the India-Africa Summit as well as the Forum of Cooperation between Africa and China as we strengthened these important partnerships. China announced investments of $50 billion, of which South Africa will receive $10 billion for infrastructure, industrialization, and skills development. On North-South cooperation, we continue to engage. We continue the engagements with the European Union as a bloc, which is our largest trading partner and foreign investor. Over 2,000 EU companies operate within South Africa, creating over 350,000 jobs. South Africa's relations with the USA and Canada continue to strengthen, especially in the areas of economy, health, education, energy, water, safety, and security, capacity building, and the empowerment of women. The renewal and expansion of the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, provides a platform for the enhancement of industrialization and regional integration. All outstanding issues around AGOA are being attended to. Compatriots, we extend good wishes to all athletes who have qualified for the Olympic Games to be held in Rio de Janeiro. We encourage participation in several programs aimed at promoting health styles and nation building. These include the National Recreation Day, the Nelson Mandela Sports and Culture Day, the World Move for Health Day, the Golden Games, and the Andrew Mlangeni Golf Development Day. Compatriots, a committee has been established to coordinate the participation of our performing arts legends in nation-building activities in the country. The Living Legends Committee is chaired by playwright Mr. Welcome Somi, working with the music icon Miss Letambulu as deputy chair. We are also happy that musicians and actors, amongst others, heeded our call to unite and have formed the Creative Industries Federation of South Africa. The presidency has established the Presidential Creative Industries Task Team to support our artists. Compatriots, to achieve our objectives of creating jobs, reducing inequality, and pushing back the frontiers of poverty, we need faster growth. In the National Development Plan, we set our aspirations, our aspirational target growth of 5% per year, which we had hoped to achieve in 2019. Given the economic conditions I have painted earlier, it is clear that we will not achieve that growth target at the time we had hoped to achieve it. Though the touch of global and domestic conditions should propel us to redouble our efforts, working together as all sectors. In this regard, it is important to act decisively to remove domestic constraints to growth. We cannot change the global economic conditions, but we can do a lot to change the local conditions. Let us work together to turn the situation around. It can be done. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Order. After I have adjourned the joint sitting, members and guests should please remain at their places until the procession has left the chamber. The guests in the gallery should remain seated until the ushers indicate that the doors are open. The procession will leave the chamber in this manner. It will be led by the Sergeant at Arms, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, the President, the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, the Deputy President, the Secretary to Parliament. This concludes the business of the day. This joint sitting is adjourned.
Well, President Jacob Zuma eventually managing to, of course, deliver his state of the nation after about an hour or so of really finding it difficult to begin the task. But in the end,
yeah, managed to get it over. Absolutely, the nation listening on to what the president had to say. It was difficult.